American Giant makes great clothing, sweatshirts, jeans, and more right here in the U.S. Visit American-Giant.com and get 20% off your first order with code STAPLE20. That's 20% off your first order at American-Giant.com, code STAPLE20.
Welcome to the Beautifully Broken podcast. I'm your host, Freddie Kimmel, and on this show we explore the survivor's journey, practitioners making a difference, and the therapeutic treatments and transformational technology that allow the body to heal itself. Witness the inspiration we gain by navigating the human experience with grace, humility, and a healthy dose of mistakes. Because part of being human is being beautifully broken. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Beautifully Broken podcast. Why am I giggling? Because it's my birthday, and I don't know why that's funny, but I'm about to turn 45 years old. Incredible. I remember having this moment this morning where I'm feeling a lot of things, probably to do with this new calendar ticking off another year. And I was remembering my dad used to tell me, he used to say, shitty things happen in threes. So if two come along the road, pick your head up. My dad is a little bit of a pessimist, but I've actually engineered this superpower to welcome in very positive things or downloads from the universe. And this is just what woke people in Austin call an idea. And it's generally assisted me in living my life in a better way with more ease and more grace. So on Wednesday, my friend Jason Earl from episode 142 from Got Mold, he sent me a video from YouTube. He didn't write anything except for, "You're welcome." It was music and it was art, and it was from a gentleman named Ren Gill. Ren is a talented singer-songwriter and a musician from Brighton, England, and he has had an ongoing battle with chronic health problems since he was 19, even alluding to having Lyme disease in his own words. He said he can't really scratch the surface of what it's like to lose his early 20s to debilitating, mysterious health problems that left him trapped in his bed with debilitating pain and neurological issues. Ren feels like he missed out on so much of what was meant to be the years of his life when one grows up and they discover what it's really meant to be an adult. Holy shit. Incredible, right? I mean, I don't know this pre-video. I just pushed play. And I remember seeing the timestamp on YouTube. It said 10 minutes, which I thought that's self-indulgent for a song. Guys, I was floored. I was wrong. What I witnessed, what I felt, what I remembered, the intensity of this performance, the chaos and destruction versus this beautification and creation. It's incredible. You got to go watch it. So don't leave the podcast yet. But as the music slowly dies down, he gets up out of his wheelchair and he just does this beautiful monologue, which I'm going to read for you. When I was 17 years old, I shouted out into an empty room, into a blank canvas, that I would defeat the forces of evil. And for the next 10 years of my life, I suffered the consequences with illness, autoimmunity, and psychosis. As I got older, I realized there were no real winners and no real losers in psychological warfare, but there were victims and there were students. It wasn't David versus Goliath. It was a pendulum, eternally swaying between the light and the dark. And the brighter the light shined, the darker the shadow it cast. It was never a battle for me to win. It was an eternal dance. And like a dance, the more rigid I became, the harder it got. The more I cursed my clumsy footsteps, the more I suffered. And as I got older and I learned to relax, I learned to soften, and the dance got easier. It is this eternal waltz that separates human beings from angels, from demons, from gods. And I must not forget. We must not forget that we are all human beings. Right? Goosebumps every time I read it. So I want to say, ladies and gentlemen who listen to this podcast, the polarization in the world today is very real. It divides us and it makes us weak. And it's my belief, my true belief, that we are stronger together. It's my birthday. I'm 45, so I'm thinking, what advice do I want to give myself with all this information, these ideas downloading? In this video, it just kicked it off. It drove me into this beautiful writing spree. You know, I thought about my lost time, my lost years, and I remembered there was a time when I was so angry. I thought I was robbed of a decade of good health. I felt tired. I felt broken. I imagined I would never dance the way I believed I could. I believe I would never sing like I wanted to sing. I could only see the lost time. It was chemotherapy and cancer and surgeries that had taken organs, energy, small bowel, testicles, and tissue. Lyme and autoimmunity, they took my battery. Every few months, I would spend 2 to 3 days on the bathroom floor vomiting as my small intestine twisted in knots. The outcome was near blackout pain or it was another surgery. I was in a perpetual state of physical trauma and chaos, but I still smiled. I still sang. I danced. I really, truly believed that I would somehow rewind time and I would pick back up where I left off before I got sick. I learned my DNA, mine, Freddie's, is hardwired to believe I'll still get up. So I kept getting up. And here we are, we're 20 years later nearly. My feelings today, I'm less angry. I was gifted a decade of incredibly intense growth and learning experiences. I'm often less tired today, and I'm thankful for my experience to understand the polarity and speak with discernment about the topic. I feel even with extreme fatigue that there is a purpose to be found. I've adopted a practice to not place my happiness on day-to-day fluctuations in health. I needed to be broken to rebuild. I would offer you, anybody listening to this, that you don't need to receive the lessons the way I did. The way I dance, I believe this, is beautiful. I'm learning this day to sing with my authentic voice. It's in there. And time, I don't think time is ever lost. Energy is not destroyed. In eternity, it's too vast to imagine that we won't be here again. I just want to say, stay beautiful to everybody hearing this. Oh, God, that is heavy to say out loud. Just the word disease. And I have a very unique perspective on it. I will often say cancer is the best thing that's ever happened to me. I said that before I even believed it. And as I evolve and my relationship with the experience matures, it's one of the most resonant truths that I have in my heart. It's the big question that I get in a consultation or a customer call or a webinar or a live event. People actively seeking wellness, they're asking me, how did you beat the thing? The cancer, the Lyme, the mold, the abdominal adhesions. That's a great question, so let's talk about it. So this idea was dropped in my lap from the podcast Chime In with AJW, as she hosted Charles Eisenstein. Prolific thought leader, writer, sign up for his Substack. So Charles says, and I love this concept, I think to truly step into the idea, into the transformation that the pandemic offered us, is that we step out of the pattern of diagnosing every problem as a result of a bad actor, such as a virus or a totalitarian leader, creating a complete clusterfuck of public health. These are functionaries within a pandemic, just as germs are functionaries in a disease process. My experience is that Lyme was a functionary in a moldy, metal-filled gut microbiome that was completely destroyed with a weak emotional intelligence. Cancer is a functionary and poor metabolic health. The reason I can say this with deep certainty is the greatest scientific intervention is building mitochondria through exercise to support cancer or metastatic cancer. Not biohacking, not a pill, not a device. The American Association for Cancer Research. The paper is titled An Exercise-Induced Metabolic Shield in Distant Organs Blocks Cancer Progression and Metastatic Dissemination. So they looked at health data from 2,734 people over a 20-year period, and the researchers determined that those who engaged in regular high-intensity aerobic workouts like running had 72% fewer metastatic cancers than those who were sedentary. Are you scratching your head and wondering why you're not hearing about this? We have a problem about the stories we choose to convey forward. I'm telling you, it's really exciting. This is why you need to share this podcast. I get really stoked about this. I will post this link to this study. But don't get lost on this idea of the instance of disease. There's so much of the pyramid that's underwater, so much of the iceberg that's underwater. And it's a very different way of looking at a disease model. And if we want to step into this holistic reality, a reality of interbeing, then we have to adopt this idea of a multidimensional terrain. In any human body, there's around 30 trillion cells, but our microbiome is an estimated 39 trillion microbial cells, including bacteria and viruses and fungi that are living on us and in us. Can we really step out of judgment and just step out and say they're just an evil bug? That's what got me sick. It's just one tumor. It was one rogue cell. Is it possible that this was playing a role in your education? So, based on circumstance, history, psychology, biographical data, karmic information, astrological influences, would you do the same? I have a really good story here. I remember crying on a gurney in the emergency room, rolling into surgery. I had just learned I had cancer. I had learned there were 9 tumors in my body. And I looked at my doctor. I said, "What did I do to get this cancer?" Tears in my eyes. Why was I filled with disease? Wanting so badly to understand what I could do to change that outcome and have a different life, to get more life. You want to know what he said to me? He lied. He said the only compassionate thing to a 26-year-old facing the loss of future children, growing old, and organs, the only thing that I could possibly hear at the time, he said, "You did nothing." My belief today is that I had a huge role in finding my place on that gurney, rolling into the emergency room. And all the things that I talk about on the show, or all the things that I embody each morning, why I wake up and I stand on a vibration plate to release nitric oxide, why I sit in barrels of cold water, why I will go 3 to 5 days without eating any food, why I journal and I'll write love stories to my organs before I go to bed, asking if anybody's stressed. Why I track the time between successive heartbeats to see where my nervous system is, so I better understand this mechanism. And I can tell you, when I commit to these things, not only do I feel better, is my energy better, my lab work is better, my insulin response is better. The shit works. This is my birthday podcast. That's all I had to say. I wanted to keep it under 15 minutes. I hope within this 15-minute download that you find a piece of value. I hope you go back and find a piece of value that you can share and you can mull over and you can rework and see where it fits on you and your body and your life, your lifestyle, your relationships, so you can increase the quality of your time on the planet. I love you so much. Bye. Team, thank you for creating a wave of momentum that is driving Season 5 of the Beautifully Broken podcast. My heart thanks you for tuning in. And if you enjoyed today's show, head over to Apple Podcasts and now Spotify. Spotify is new, and you can leave a review. 5 stars if you loved it. And before you go, I have something really important I need to offer. There are 2 ways we can build this relationship. The first is to join my membership program at buymeacoffee.com/FreddieSetGo. You get early access to all the podcasts, bonus episodes, discounted consults, and free webinars covering all the wellness technologies. The second is to support beautifullybroken.world. That's right, I have a brand new website and new store, beautifullybroken.world. Listed on here are all the wellness tools, supplements, educational courses, and products that I absolutely love. Most of them offer significant discounts by clicking the link or using the code. Please know that they don't cost you anything extra. And at the same time, they do support the podcast through affiliations. What's that? I just got a message from my lawyers, my internet team of lawyers. They wanted me to tell you that the information on this podcast is for educational purposes only. By listening, you agree not to use the information found here as medical advice. Do you agree? Yes, you agree. To treat any medical condition in yourself or others, always consult your own physician for any medical issues that you may be having. Finally, our closing. The world is changing. We need you at your very best. So always take the steps to be upgrading your energy, your mindset, and your heart. Remember, while life is pain, putting the fractured pieces back together is a beautiful process. I love you. I'm your host, Freddie Kimmel.
These days, work is in trouble. We've outsourced most of our manufacturing to other countries, and with that, we sent away good jobs and our capability to make things. American Giant is a clothing company that's pushing back against this tide. They make all kinds of high-quality clothing and activewear, like sweatshirts, jeans, dresses, jackets, and so much more, right here in the USA. So when you buy American Giant, you create jobs in towns and cities across the country. And jobs bring pride, purpose. They stitch people together. If all that sounds good to you, visit American-Giant.com and get 20% off your first order when you use code STAPLE20 at checkout. That's 20% off your first order at American-Giant.com with promo code STAPLE20.